Howdy everybody, it's your boy Hobo here. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. Today I'm here to give you the Week 7 weekly recap for the National Pokeball League. Yep, that is true. When today I'm only by myself because I'm a little lonesome. And you don't have to be lonely, but I do. So basically let's just start right up and get into the first match. The first match of this week is going to be the Arizona Caravanas versus the Brisbane Balloons. The Arizona Caravanas have been having some poop luck lately, and today they're looking for the win, number 1. Well, let's just hop right into first play. The first play of this was Rotom Heat versus the Raikou, which turned out to be an air balloon set. Rotom Heat goes in for the Willow and hits the Zygarde, and basically cripples Zygarde so much that it's worthless, and he gets rid of it, as Brisbane gets rid of it. After that, it's more in the favor of Brisbane, with the combination of a Trick Room, Victini, and a Cloyster getting lucky. And that actually helped out Brisbane get more momentum throughout this game. Sadly, that was not enough. The Arizona Caravanas finally insert the justice of Lord Rachi and Lady Togekiss, and they started activating their hacks powers. This means that basically Jirachi was able to Iron Head flinch a Rhyperior, which kinda didn't matter that much. Also, since Jirachi was a T-Wave variant, it was able to outpace the Victini because it was a Trick Room variant, and able to get a T-Wave off on the Victini. With the combination of Iron Heads and Paras, Victini was actually able to break through and go in for the Trick Room plus the V-Create. This put a very stable turn, as the last turns were basically superior, going in for the HP Rock, or Ground, excuse me. HP Ground hits the first time and Victini is paralyzed. Now it's only time for Victini to become unparalyzed and go in for the V-Create. But this time, Lord Rachi and, like I said, Lady Kiss say, oh heck no, and paralyze the Victini. Victini gets paralyzed twice in a row as Superior is able to take it out. That was the game of the Arizona Caravanas versus Brisbane Balloons. It was very hacksful, and I strongly do not recommend having Lady Kiss and Lord Rachi on the same team. Well, let's hop into the next match. The next match is the Jersey Dwebbles versus the Phoenix Sunkern. These two teams are going at it head to head, as the Jersey Dwebbles start off very strong. The first mon down is a crit from a Megalodios, hitting the Rotom Wash, just destroying it basically. This opens up basically momentum for Talonflame and Mega Blastoise. Well, further turns come in, and it's Aerodactyl versus Talonflame. Aerodactyl obviously has the Stone Edge, but he wants to make a big boy play, and Aerodactyl goes for the Earthquake. Meanwhile, the Talonflame goes in for the Brave Bird. After this, basically, the Aerodactyl goes for the Thunderfang, destroying the Talonflame. This leads into Sableye coming in. Sableye was trying to threaten it out with the Will-O-Wisp, but sadly, the New Jersey Dwebbles are ballsy as heck, and they go for the Stone Edge against the Sableye. Here, instead of actually getting the Sableye, they catch the Kyurem Black on switch-in and destroy, and I repeat, destroy the Kyurem Black. This was able to weaken up the rest of the team, so the combination of Ninetales plus Mienshao getting the last kill on Klefki was able to get the win. Notable set this week was that the Sableye was Lagging Tail, or was it Iron Ball? It was one of the two. And it was able to get the trick off on the Ninetales, which was pretty cool to see. Our next match is the Atlanta Bearberries versus the San Antonio Swamperts. This match is a very very, not hacksful match, but it was a very nice match to watch. So, lead matchup for this match was Suicune versus Ferrothorn. The Suicune is an Assault Vest Suicune this week, and it was able to carry HP Fire, Ice Beam, Signal Beam, and I believe the last move was Scald. Ferrothorn sets up rocks as it gets hit up with an HP Fire, which was not predicting at all. And then Trev makes a play and switches into Sharpedo, which doesn't happen very well, as Suicune was able to get a single beam off on the Sharpedo and do massive damage to it. Now, fearing the single beam again, the Lance Barriers go out into Ferrothorn, eats up the single beam this time, and then it gets switched right into Maracton. Maracton goes in for the Quiver Dance after eating up one massive HP Fire, and was able to get a Quiver Dance and pass it into the Hoopa Unbound. Hoopa Unbound goes in straight in for a T-Bolt, and Suicune, bulky as heck with the Assault Vest, lives and is able to go in for the single beam, not once. Actually, it goes in the single beam once, and destroys Hoopa U. Now, Hoopa U has one last hit into it because it is Life Orbed, and Hoopa U decides to go for the Psychic and destroying the Suicune. Suicune is able to pick up a kill there, which was very, very charismatic, because I actually freaking love that a lot. That was a very good ballsy play on his part. Now comes Maracton versus freaking, the thingamabobber, the Golurk thingy, and yeah. Also, another notable thing, Ferrothorn, Cuscut Berry Explosion. Very cool. Later on in the match, basically, it was Sand and versus Megalopunny, and sadly there was a retaliate Megalopunny as my boy Trev brought a stockpile Hippo, which at first you think, oh my lord, Frillis, but it was actually a pretty cool match. Pretty cool thing to see, as Maracton is just a monster and just switches in and out, which is alright. Escadrille goes in for an Iron Head against the Roserade, even though I personally would have went in for an EQ because it hits more of his mons, but Iron Head was a pretty good play as Heloctile was able to come in and eat up not one, but eat up two and not die. Actually, we'll let it die, but whatever, as Trev does make an aggressive play and goes out into the Rough Skin, not even Rough Skin Rocky Helmet, but the Rough Skin Sharpedo, and basically weakens the Megalopunny, but that doesn't really matter because Megalopunny is just bulky as heck and is able to do a lot to Hippo, but then switches out into the Landorus, which does a lot to Hippo, and Landorus was able to get a crit on the Hippo and clean up the game. Yeah, quite hacksy, but it's not quite hacksy. That last minute of hacks, though, did matter a lot. Alright, the next match we're going to be talking about is the Los Angeles Nidokings versus the Boston Abidus. This matchup, it was a very cool match to see, actually, as both competitors are really looking for the win this week. So, let's just hop right into what happened. So, the turn 1 matchup, which was Vaporeon versus Crobat, and Crobat just hashtag U-turns out, which is great, into Volcanion, which predicting the Scald, which is so beautiful, and now Sub Volcanion is just out here, and Bidoof does not know what to do, and he just goes in for the Toxic. This literally, the Los Angeles Nidokings are just playing this Volcanion pretty well right now. They're playing it highly likely. It also has Roar, which is super nice, but out comes Doublade on a Roar, and Doublade just switches out, predicting the Flamethrower, which this turns out to be just mono Flamethrower. So, literally, the Water type cannot do a lot to the Volcanion, but Volcanion is able to basically get some momentum and roar things out. You know, the more threatening the Volcanion was, the more likely he was just going to make ballsy plays, which I strongly do believe. Now, later on, basically it's a little stalling, and Amon doesn't die until basically, I think it was turn, let me see, Amon does not die until turn number 28. So as you can tell, they were fighting each other tooth and nail as the Cobalion SDs and then goes in for an HP fire right there, or HP goes, I believe that's what it was, and that was a very beautiful play on that part, as basically now the Gudra goes in for a fire blast on the Renewal Eclipse. What happens, and it actually catches the burn, which is that's pretty nice to see, as basically now Mandibuzz is being bulky as usual, and more turns go on by while actually catching the Landorus with an HP Ice. That's what it was, excuse me. So yeah, it was very cool to see an HP Ice, and Cobalion was Shook-a-Berry also too, so this Cobalion set basically was very beautiful. I actually loved it. Danza prepped really well this matchup, and what happened was towards the end of the match, there was a Triple Renewal Eclipse which did a whole lot of work, and then Crocodile plus basically the combination of Rotomo and Crocodile was able to clean up the game with Scarf. Well, not Scarf Rotomo, but Rotomo just basically going for HP, which I don't know exactly what hidden power it was. I think it was HP fighting, I couldn't tell, but it was able to 1v1 the Mandibuzz while being burned and win. Danza, coach of the St. Louis restaurant, Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Nidokeens, a win. Oh my lord, I can't pronounce today. Alright, so the next match is going to be the St. Louis Reshiram's versus the Phoenix Sunfloras. This matchup was very as basically this is the undefeated team going against the always defeated team. And just like Riz fashion, basically Medicham got a kill and Mamoswine got a kill, along with Jellicent, which Scarf Jellicent actually put in a lot of work. Well, in theory. There isn't really much to say about this match, barring Infernape cleaning up the game, able to get kills on things like Scolipede and the Armaldo, and I believe the Mamoswine. Dragonite able to E-Speed spam its way to victory, and Registeel be the best rock setter in the game. This was more of a match for Riz, because basically Riz's time spent doing this match was it wasn't rushed, but in the end he was more focusing on the TPU, which he did win. So congratulations Riz, you actually won something, but now please win an NPL match. Barring that, Maddie actually prepped really well this match, and I really do commend Maddie. Maddie's just going in here, muscle-bounded, shirtless Maddie coming through, and is able to clearing up games, going 7-0. The next match is going to be the Toronto Star Raptors versus Florida for Alligators, and this one is another 5-0 victory for the Toronto Star Raptors. After losing 2 games in a row, the Toronto is looking for its first win in a while. And basically the first things happen is the lead matchup is Bronzong versus Diggersby, and Diggersby is obviously going to go in for the knockoff. Bronzong predicts this pretty well, and I believe that he did switch out into his Venusaur, and basically Diggersby was doing a lot of damage, but it wasn't able to keep up the damage. Here, there was a certain turn where basically Bronzong was sacked to the Uxie, the Calm Mind Uxie, and basically it was a 50-50. Scarf Darm at that moment in range did kill, or not, no it did not kill Uxie with a U-turn. Barring that, Banded Darm actually does kill Uxie with U-turn at that moment. So the Florida for Alligators do make the safe play, which is to switch out into their Clefable, predicting the U-turn and, to have something in, which basically, at the moment, only thing that could have 1v1 Clefable was Lucario, barring Clefable not being very, very low. But instead of doing that, the Darmanitan actually sets up a substitute and starts wrecking up shop after taking rocks damage. The Salic Berry activates, actually no, not after taking rocks damage, rocks were not on the field at the time. The Salic Berry activates after the Darmanitan goes in for a belly drum and is basically able to clean up the game with a combination of Fire Punch, and Earthquake. This match was a very thrilling match to watch, as basically Jolt made the most aggressive play of his life. Jolt, I believe that was a beautiful play, and it's glad to see you have a win, but man, you gotta calm down a little bit. Also, things like Diggersby not having Quick Attack or Dusclops not having Shadow Sneak did kinda ruin, I wouldn't say ruin, but basically Darmanitan did not have a sub up after, I believe, the after the Clefable actually lived a hit and went for an attack. So not having Quick Attack or Shadow Sneak, not have the priority, basically lost top tier away the game. But it was a decent game at the most. I mean, if you like watching Darm sweeps, that's the game for you. The next match that we're going to be looking at is the Austin Tauroses versus the Detroit Light-Parts. And this match was, it wasn't a doozy to watch, but it was a very cool match. Indeedy. Yes, indeedy, Mr. Greedy. It was a very cool match. But notable things, as turn 1, the Hurricane Miss on the Galvantula kind of did suck, as basically now it forced out the Heatran, which Heatran does go in for an Earth Power and does a heck of a ton to a Black Sludge Nidoqueen, which is like god-like damage. And then Florges plus Nidoqueen is like a very hard core to take down, as he Wish passes into his Galvantula, being Focus Sashed. It was a very cool play to see Rob make plays like this, as the Thunder does miss, which kind of counterbalances the hacks on the Hurricane Miss, but Cypher is like, nah bruh, nah, as basically he does weaken his Heatran a little bit too much, as he does opt to go into his Umbreon, and Umbreon snarls and scares out the Galvantula, which is cool, I guess. I don't know. Basically, the physical Nidoqueen is trying to do damage with an Ice Punch, but it is the sheer force variant, so it's whatever. And it takes forever, like I repeat, it takes forever for a Mon to die, actually, as Earthquake is actually able to kill the Tentacruel, but that, I mean, it was highly unexpected. I actually thought that Tentacruel would be speedy there, but it wasn't, so it kind of sucks. As Mega Glade is actually able to live the Earthquake and go for the knockoff, get a crit, by the way, which didn't really matter in the end, because basically Florges was able to revenge kill. Now comes the Heatran here, which basically Calmine Florges just cleans up the game. Sloppy seconds are not a thing, and yeah, that's basically it. Calmine Florges with Wish. Flashkin is doing a lot, but sadly the Heatran switches out, which gives a kill for basically Nidoqueen here, as he does predict the Psychic, or I guess the Moonblast. I don't know exactly what he was predicting there, but basically it's not an uphill, it's an uphill battle for the Detroit Light-Parts here, as Cypher just basically sacks things off to the Florges, as he does opt to set up a nasty plot on the Florges. Will Celebi last second trying to do that double nasty, but double nasty is not going to be able to win him the game here, as Psychic does not do enough. He did not carry Psyshock. So yeah, that's the game. Astro J played for Rob that week, so make sure you guys to go love him and tell him hi and stuff like that. You know, it was a very cool match to watch. I mean, sadly, it was a Florida sweep, but if you think about it, Need the Queen got, what, 2 passive kills? Which is super cool to say. And yeah, so last but not least, we're going to be hitting into our last match of the week. And this match I actually played personally. It's going to be the match of the Cindy Sharpedos versus the New York McTangs. The Cindy Sharpedos brought a massive squad, a very cool squad actually indeed. They did bring things that did well, as the New York McTangs actually brought a pretty decent squad for the most part. Oh my lord, the phone is ringing. So, let's get right into turn 1. Turn 1 of this game was one of the best turns ever. So basically, it was a Steelix versus a Stunfisk. Stunfisk opts to set up rocks instead of going in for Earth Power, and Steelix is able to Toxic it. This actually starts helping out the New York McTangs later on in the match, while Steelix is at a decent amount of HP. Because after taking the Earth Power and Steelix being kind of a Spadef, it kind of looked like it was Spadef, the New York McTangs were able to get rocks. Turns happen later on, and switches happen. Later on, the Regigigas is up against the Whimsicott. Up against the Stunfisk, excuse me. Stunfisk switches out because it doesn't want to take any more toxic damage, or it was predicting a toxic or another move. As the New York McTangs are going to go in for the the Confuse Ray. The Confuse Ray does play a very important part here, as it is a 50-50 if Whimsicott's going to hurt itself in Confusion or not. This happens actually 3 times, and those 3 times, Regigigas missed a Toxic, it hit a Toxic, and it was able to get off big damage with a return. This starts putting the New York McTangs into full throttle swing, as now the Cindy Sharpedos are going to have to play catch up. This is where basically the New York McTangs start having very good momentum here, as they start predicting the Yalamoga switch-ins, and they start doing damage to most things. They do lose their Drapion to the Metagross after killing the Stunfisk, and from there, basically it was strategically sacking off Amon. Later on in the match, Weavile was in, and versus an Azumarill. Azumarill goes in for the Whirlpool and misses the Weavile. This kind of helps counteract when the hexes that happened against the Whimsicott. So after that, Weavile is at a decent amount of HP, and the New York McTangs start playing around Weavile, trying to whittle it down with its own Life Orb recoil. Sadly, the Shindy Sharpedos actually go in for a double Poison Jab and destroy Azu on coming in. Now, with Weavile out of the way, the Steelix comes in against Mew. Mew thinks that this is a perfect time to set up, because this is one of the only ways for it to set up. Meanwhile, the Steelix actually has Cuscot Berry Explosion and explodes on the Mew. Mew does not see this coming and takes a hefty damage. Now, the last 2 Mons left are Metagross and Mew versus the Terrakion and Entei. Entei comes in after the explosion and goes in for the safe E-Speed. Now, what this does is basically E-Speed helps put the Metagross in range of a Terrakion going in for Earthquake. After a series of plays, Entei is sacked, and Terrakion now comes in. It's a 2v1. The Cindy Sharpedos make a very good play, and they switch out switch out the Metagross into the Mew, while Terrakion is able to pick up the kill. Now it is 1v1. The Terrakion at full HP, because it is a leftovers variant, versus a banded Metagross. Metagross has only one choice, and that is to get a BP crit to win the game. As both competitors look each other in the eyes and say good game to each other, the Metagross is able to come through and get the BP crit and win the game for the Cindy Sharpedos. It's a very cool match, and I strongly did enjoy playing this match. It actually had me pretty stoked up for my Week 2 match versus Hunter in the minors. And let's get out a shout out to my boy Gypsy, because he is the king. Now, guys, let's look at that MVP race shortly, shall we? So, leading off the pack with number 5, the Phoenix Sun Currents' own Kieran Black, with 9 kills and 3 deaths. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I had a cough. The next mon is Suicune, with 10 kills, 3 deaths. Coming in third is Styx, the waifu, with 10 kills, 3 deaths. After that, it is Togevor's own Garchomp, with 11 kills and 5 deaths. And last on the top is the Cindy Sharpedo's Weeball, with 15 kills and 4 deaths. This is going to be a very cool week, as week number 5 is coming up. Week 8 is almost live. And here are the matches for week 8. The matches up for week 8 are going to be the Boston Beedus versus the San Antonio Swampers. The St. Louis Restaurants versus the Los Angeles Nidokings. The New Jersey Dwebbles versus the Phoenix Sunfloras. The... whatever. Oh my lord. The... can't think of it right now. The Atlanta Bearberries versus the Phoenix Suncurrents. The Detroit Lipards versus the New York McTangs. The Florida Feraligators versus Everthoth and his Brisbane Brainlooms. Next is Gypsy King, the Cindy Sharpedos versus Jolt and his Toronto Star Raptors. And last but not least, the most hyped match actually of the week is going to be the Arizona Caravanas versus the Austin Tauroses. I hope you guys did enjoy the weekly recap for week 7 of the NPL. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and comment below what was your favorite part of the weekly recap. Until next time, this is your boy Carnie, signing out. Peace, my fellow PokeTubers.